I'm really excited to be here today with you in this panel. We have like exciting, outstanding guests today. For me, it's really an honor. I will spend just one single word to describe myself, and then I will leave the floor. I will be the moderator for you today. And I am the founder, CEO of DXI, and basically I'm also in a parallel life, an attorney, and coming from a law firm. But with DXI, we are embedding AI ethics in businesses, so that's more or less our mission. But today, the floor is for our guests that are really like top-notch AI ethics communicator in Italy and probably also outside the borders of Italy today. So today we will explore with them some of the most pressing issues on how AI should be regulated, but not only from a legal standpoint, but also in terms of how, like, in the reality of how ethics and how practical things that are happening before the entering into force of a new regulation will shape the future of AI that we were discussing together some minutes before. It cannot only be framed as pure technology. It has something more that will probably shape and change our lives in the next years. So it's really important to, let's say, see this phenomenon from the shoulders of great experts. So for me, it's an honor I will quickly introduce the guests, and then I will leave them to be more precise about them. Today, we have Massimo Criatti, Chief Technology and Innovation Officer at Lenovo. We have a vast experience in the field of technology, ethics, communication. He's dealing and speaking about AI since, I think, the inception. So for me, it's really a pleasure to have you today. Then we have Barbara Carfagna, very renowned journalist, international reporter, and in the last year for the Italian television, national television, and in the last year she has had really got into depth in the field of digital transformation, AI, and new technology. We have a dedicated author and also anchor woman with a dedicated program and national television. And then Enrico Panai, who is president of the Association of AI Ethicists with a background in philosophy, but also with some technical and cybersecurity skills. He is a consultant and has done a lot of things in his professional life. And so for me, it's really an honor to share the floor with these guests. So I think that today we will try to, as you can see from the introduction, we have different backgrounds. So the idea is to share ideas, to have, let's say, a discussion. So the first part of this quite quick panel will be dedicated to some basic knowledge, some basic inputs from each of our fields of expertise, and then for me it would be great to have a bit of interaction with the audience, with the public, because for me I think we are in a very dynamic moment. So having your inputs and questions and consideration for me, it's really important. So we can start with Massimo. I think that we can start from the beginning with a bit of a basic concept of, I know that you are all AI experts, and for you maybe it's be redundant, but it's always nice and important to be a bit methodologically correct, to have some common knowledge of the items we will discuss. So I will leave the floor to Massimo to discuss the main basic concept, I think, of the AI today, and then maybe a bit of an introduction of why AI ethics is so important and why it's different from other new technologies that we dealt with in the past. Okay. So, yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. I hope that we have some slides. Sorry for my poor English, but I will try to have a discussion with you. After you can see my contacts. In this case, we can have a discussion in the future. Start early. Just a few, the less important slide in this presentation, because I worked on some books and I wrote a paper with Professor Luciano Floridi about ethics of AI. We have some words, and just to have a common baseline between us in terms of definitions. I would like to have a sort of a common idea about AI now in this presentation. I propose this kind of wording. It's a discipline that uses computer systems. I work at Lenovo. You know, my job is to promote, design the computer system to read our footsteps, our data in the past, in order to suggest, and in the last times, content generation, ChatGPT, for example, to generate future steps. And I would like to introduce AI in terms of pillars. AI is based only on 3 pillars. You know, data. Without data, we can't have any AI. The second element is computing power. You know, we have small power, small computer, or a high-end computer. And we have algo. Thanks to decreasing cost about data, remember that in the past, collecting data, memorize data, elaborate data was very, very expensive. Now we are very lucky because in terms of data, computing power, you can rent a slice of computer for some minutes, for example. And even for algo, we have open source model, and thanks to this kind of mechanism, we have more AI. In terms of economics, when you have decreasing cost, you can use more AI. And we have to talk about the evolution of technology, starting from simple technologies that extended our strength. We are used to work with automatic machine. Think about a calculator, think about a classical computer. That classical computer execute our rules, our logic. We code and the machine execute automatically. I think that now, in addition to automatic computer, we have autonomous computer. Start not from our logic, but start from data. And what is autonomy from your point of view? If we consider from a technical point of view, we have a computer inside every object. This is, from a technical point of view, autonomy. If you consider from economical point of view, you can have production without human work. And even further, if you consider philosophy point of view, autonomy is the freedom to act without any dependence. This is important because autonomy makes a lot of consequences. Sorry. For example, we have a classical computer here, we know, code, and the machine produce our outcome. And with artificial intelligence, we have a lot of data inside in terms of input to have a logic, a correlation, a pattern. And this is, for me, important because when you consider a computer, a classical calculator, for example, consider the simple operation, the sum, we are talking about deductive model. Start from our theory, our logic, we code, and after that we have a result, deterministic result. Our Word, our Excel is following the deductive model, from general to particular, say the philosopher here in this slide, in this room. When we talk about AI, we are talking about inductive model, not from top down, but from bottom up. Start from observation. We let machine to do observation among data. We can't have, thanks to big data, correlation between, for example, your shape, your color in this room. It's impossible for us. Machine is able to do that. And the machine produces some kind of pattern, correlations, but please beware, we have the possibility to have spurious correlation. And the spurious correlation will be managed by humans with human judgment. From particular to generalized. The machine tries to generalize data found in the database. Okay, I don't want to do in every details on this table, but the question is, when a company doesn't have data, please do not promote AI, because in this way, the company loses time and money. AI is not one size fits all for all. But when a company has data, a lot of data, but not rules, we can promote the data-driven model. But from AI, I would like to be surprised. From a calculator or simple computer, I don't want surprise. But I would be surprised by AI when AI find the correlations, some correlations that I can expect, for example. Okay, we can go on. But if in this room we have to take a decision, for example, we decide to open or close that door. If you put on y-axis the effort, the time to reach a consensus, and on x the ethical risk, okay, we need to spend time to reach consensus among us to decide if that door will be open or closed. Okay, but if we don't reach the consensus, we find a way to have a decision. For example, voting system. Okay, if we don't have time to reach consensus, we have a command, a dictator. Okay, that door open or closed. To make a long story short, we are delegating to AI because we don't have time to take every decision. We delegate AI to take decision for us, but the ethical risk in this case is higher. And which kind of decision? The machine doesn't take the decision. We as a human being are able to take decision. The machine is all a calculator, 0, 1, multiplication of matrix, and so on. Looks like a decision, is not. We have to put attention on our questions, not on simple results. Because when the machine decide, double quote decide, the machine can regret about their decision. Only we, as a human being, are able to do that. There are a lot of unintended consequences, you know, bias, prejudices, and inequalities. I don't want to go in every details because I would like to give time to my colleagues. But when the machine, in terms of autonomy, work on data without starting from our logic, we can have some kind of issues. I call it artificial unconsciousness, not artificial intelligence. Someone knows why, but I based my research on Daniel Kahneman theory. Daniel Kahneman is a Nobel Prize winner in economy. He's a psychologist, and he is promote a theory based on our brain, just to make the story simple, is based on system 1 react immediately, in terms of very fast reaction, and system 2, the cortical part, more reflexive, more slow, and so on. I think that we have to talk about the system 0. System 0 is an AI system before human beings. I would like to have more details now, but please try to differentiate 3 levels: competence, know-how. Machine is able to do some things, but is not intelligent in terms of solving new problem. Of course, it's not sentience, it's not consciousness. There's no, absolutely, in these times, I would say. Okay, the machine is not able to make causal between input and output relation. Doesn't have a body to make experience. We have a body to make experience. And the black box story is when you don't have a relation between the input and the output. For this reason, of course, without intentionality, without ethics, without intelligence, without consciousness. This is a paper that I would like to share with you about, we challenged in the 2020, the GPT-3, in this case, to have a sort of reply about maths, semantics, ethics. Machine failed. You know, machine failed to reply to questions because, of course, this is only simple multiplication of matrix. Just last slide, I would like to talk with you. Consider on the right part the human being with the system 1, system 2 based on Kahneman theory. Consider now the world, the internet, for example. System 0 is our AI system, okay? I have a question for you. Do you prefer to have a filter between the internet, the real world, and our AI system? Or do you want to have a preference to have a direct connection between AI and the internet? Who is in favor to have a direct connection between internet and our AI system? Few hands up. Maybe the majority is for a filter. Okay, we put a filter, but the other question is filter, but with which value? My value, his value, her value? We don't know. It's a typical ethical dilemma. We have ethicists now. Okay, the machine decides to take a decision, for example, open or close that door. Take decision directly, or we as a human being decide if the machine can act directly on the real world. Even in this case, filter. But when AI, the outcome of AI, hit the human being or the humanity, we have to put some guardrails between the result and us. My colleagues, we will talk now about guardrails in terms of ethics and in terms of legal, to have an opportunity to mitigate issues. Because, you know, machines, do you remember, are based on hardware, software, and data. We are more than the sum of our parts. Thank you.
Thank you, Massimo, for this very clear introduction to the topic today. Being a data lawyer, I'm happy that I'm 1/3 an AI lawyer already, because data, software, and hardware knowing something about data is it's a beginning of a, I hope, a long journey toward the regulation of AI. That's why, as a lawyer myself, the next question will be a bit biased. I know bias is a common topic for AI, because I'd like to ask something to Enrico regarding, the regulation of AI is a global trend. EU, it's always, there is this motto that says that US brings the software, the East the hardware, and EU the regulation. And you know that we all know probably that AI Act is on the forefront for the most advanced and complex and technical regulation for AI. And so, what do you think about it, Enrico? The fact that, how do you think the interplay between legal experts and the legal domain and AI ethics will be in the future? Will it change? There is still, and I hope so, there is room for different domain to interact proficuously, because unfortunately, as lawyers are a bit like voracious to take space. But for me, in my opinion, it's really important to keep this distinction. What do you think about it?
Okay, a philosopher can be voracious also in taking other spaces. There is a specific space in AI ethics that is limited by one part of fundamental rights. When we are working with companies, we are not considering not respecting the fundamental rights. So we ask them to have a fundamental rights impact assessment generally, and so this is something that should be respected. In the other side, you have two parts: one prescriptive and the other one prescriptive. One is the law. And in this case, for AI, as we saw before, Brando Benifei was talking about the EU AI Act, and there is at the moment a big group, mainly led by Italian, I must say, that are in the room, and that are developing standards for enforcing the EU AI Act. But ethics is not against, it must not be against nor the law nor the standard. We must go behind those two aspects. So anytime we work as ethicists with a company, we try to make it clear with lawyers that we must know just step on their foot, and we must be careful to work in a determined space that is in between fundamental rights and standards and regulation. There is another point for AI ethics. I would say, when you talk with classical technological philosopher, they would say, I would prefer myself be called ethicist of data, or ethicist of algorithms, somebody ethicist of technologies. AI ethics is a kind of a good way of selling the profession at the moment, but it will change in time. The idea is working with the digital, and that's what we are doing mainly. And when we are working with the digital, we must know the technology. And this is something that I personally studied philosophy, but if a pure philosopher came to me and say, okay, I want to talk about AI ethics, but I don't know, I never seen anything about AI, or I don't know a line of code, or I don't ever seen Python, for example, or some models, or the way of training models, etc. The risk is that you are going to suggest something that may be wrong because it's not feasible. And this is the baseline for our profession, knowing the fundamental of the digital and of the AI. Then inside this space, you have a different level. There is an area of gray area, a space where you have a legislation, but still, after the interpretation of the lawyers, you have something that you can improve using an ethical approach. Then there is something that is fillable. The law is there, but there are big spaces that are completely empty. And in this case, ethicists can help a company to fill those areas. And then you have something that is completely, the fillable space, and something that is completely empty. That means that you are creating a technology, but there is not law in the field. In this case, technically, we can do foresight ethical analysis with several techniques to do it, and we do it to try to understand how a technology is going to be used in the future, because it's going to evolve. We know that model can have a model shift, or you can have a data shift, and so the model will change its behavior, or even worse, a subcategory of the population. We use the technology in a way you haven't forecasted. So the point is how this technology can be used in the future and what kind of ethical risk we can have. So there is a completely empty space where ethicists work. So when I have the opportunity also to teach in some university, in one of the university I teach with Massimo here, and an example we do to students is imagine ethics as driving a car in a town. You have a limit, and this is 50 kilometers per hour generally. But if you can see a child playing far away from you, and you see is doing, please. Is doing it in a dangerous way. So even if the law doesn't say that you have to slow down, you use a bit more of your attention, of your ethical awareness to slow down the car in order to avoid any possible accident. So the point is trying to prevent any possible ethical risks, and this is important for, we'll say, generally reputation problem. But in my own experience, when you are doing the work with the company and with the developers to think about the way you can mitigate risk, you discover that ethics is a wonderful driver for innovation. Because you are asking questions and developers are saying, I didn't think about this possibility. Let's try to develop something that could be more interesting. So if you see ethics as the 10 commandments and just a list of principles that everybody has to respect, this is only one small part of ethics. It's principlism, but it's not all the day-by-day ethics. It's much more precise, and you have to be more flexible in adapting your solution to the context and to the evolution of the system.
Thanks a lot. I'm glad we can coexist in the near future and cooperate quite well. So now we are switching slightly domain, and because you all know that this year in 2024, 4 billion people will vote on the Earth. So it's a great challenge for democracy all over the world, and it's a even bigger challenge in a world that is becoming full with deep fakes, with AI, generative AI tools that can, in some way, can play at different levels to have an impact. Unfortunately, to distort, to change direction to the free vote, if we can still think about this principle. So to contrast, to try to fight this phenomenon, a number of initiatives are emerging. Some of them are more connected to the, let's say, labeling of deepfakes, so deepfakes or AI-generated content. So playing on the let's say watermark and label this is an AI-generated content, while other are, let's say, trying to head of metadata on the content, on the real content, so if we can call it real, to give to the public the certainty but also that is a real content. But there are no free meals, unfortunately, so this kind of different approach have different risks. So I would like to ask to Barbara, that you are an expert in the field. What do you think about this the rising of these new technologies, and do you think are beneficial? Do you see any risk? Because things are moving really fast, and in this confusion, there may be some errors may be made. So we'd be glad to have your opinion on that.
In both ways, they are going too fast. In these days, there is in Tel Aviv a conference, Global Tau, and Europol said that by 2026, we will have 90% of media online AI generated. That is very impressive as data. We don't know if it is true or not, but anyway, it's impressive, and we can believe it will happen. It's not impossible. At the same time, yesterday in Hong Kong, we had the news that a company has lost 25 millions because they had a meeting on Zoom, and the CEO gave some directions, and they executed, and he was not the CEO, he was a deep fake. So we also move from political side that we have seen very well in Argentina elections. They used generative AI in all the possible ways. Funny when Milei was proposed as an actor of, I don't know which is the title in English, Arancia Meccanica, the movie.
Clockwork Orange.
Yes, or there were some manifests made in the style of ancient communists in Russia. There were, very also funny but also scaring electoral campaign tools. Then we had the last ones with Taylor Swift and Biden, and we are starting to have also our premier in Italy and Macron, everybody. So, of course, this is one side. Then the copyright side that we know very well. Probably my and Massimo TV show on digital. Now all the episodes are in a platform of some enemies, just on other channels, just to reshape what we said for 8 years and take off some organization for the episodes of new programs of people who don't know about AI, like our experts do, because we are focused on this from years. But this is another kind of problem. What we are facing, is becoming scary and scary every day. And I've seen two kinds of solutions, as he said, that are coming out. I don't know if I'm happy or worried. Sometimes I'm worried more from the solution than from the problem. But I just would like to share and to know what ethics also think about it. The most important one is a protocol called C2PA. I don't know who knows about this. Who knows about it? Okay. Just one person. This is important because it's running so fast, C2PA, that I also see that nobody knows about. So I read you exactly the definition. It's a coalition for content, provenance, and authenticity, and addresses the prevalence of misleading information online through the development of technical standards for certifying the source and history of provenance of media content. It means that it is a sort of protocol like we have on the toys for the babies that you put a CA and you are sure that there is a security standard behind. What is this standard made of? First of all, today Google got into the committee with this announcement. Google today joins the C2PA to help increase transparency around digital content. So they are in the committee, so they are not using from today, but they are in the package. OpenAI is in, Sony is in, BBC is in, Leica, the photo, and 100 other little companies, small companies, but also France TV is in, and they're asking also to RAI. It is good because they just want to make clear that if you want to be recognized as ethical and trustable, if you have your mark on your product as, for example, TV author, they say this is authentic. This is what she said. It's not true, of course, but the provenance is tracked. So you know that I'm responsible for what I've said, and I take the responsibility on me. So I put my face, as we say. We put the digital sign. This is the story. So it's good for this. On the other side, it's scary to have all your product tracked. I give you an example. Sony announced in Las Vegas that they are going to put a digital sign on all the photos and images and videos. So if I shoot a terrorist in action and I publish the photo or the video, he can find me and kill me. So, you know, it's a little bit scary also from this point of view. And then the second thing is everything is, you can hack everything. So you can hack also these systems some way. And this is a second problem because you can. Third problem, if all, for example, NATO countries get into the standard, but of course Iran doesn't, China doesn't, and so on, we are tracked, they are not. It's not that what is not certified by the standard is false, is fake, but you are reliable, you can say, you can trust me. How is it done, more or less? It's very difficult also to understand because they are building day by day. So they change every day because as the companies get in, everybody say, oh, I want this, I don't want that. So, but more or less, the protocol, the standards, is composed by metadata. So you have the metadata of how and when and where it's been signed for the first time and who changed in the life of, for example, the photo. And this metadata changes from company to company, so from Sony to BBC and so on. Then hash code, the encrypted, come si dice, stringa? Strings, yes. And there is this hash. And then there is a sort of digital envelope that is signed with a private key. And they say that you can't hack it. So the organization put this product in a sort of digital envelope and put the content in the web. Then it will be add a watermark. This is another technique, so the label, and it will be added to this system. But we know that the watermark, here we have some access, can be hacked. If you open an image, you also open the watermark, and it can not work. But anyway, is a way of tracking information. So you have a sort of dock like for the wine, but at the same time, you have an enormous tracking and control on the information and on what you have done. So I don't know, it is good, of course, in this content where we see that every day someone loses the job or 25 millions or elections and every day there is a worse deep fake than the day before. But I ask to the, but I leave question mark, but, and I leave you the answer.
Thank you. Thanks a lot. It's a really, really interesting point. I mean, it's like what happened in parallel with the privacy versus security issue. After, for instance, 9/11, everything was shifted to security, and there was a huge compression of some rights. At the same time, we may incur in this kind of problem issues in trying to guarantee the certainty on the content without mentioning the fact that usually, like, official TVs are, let's say, ethical, but if we think about some non-democratic states, even state television may tamper, they may alter this signature, and they produce fake contents, but nationally fake contents, so they will be marked as real.
Yeah, so the second part of your question I forgot was that there are some cybersecurity expert companies and hacker who say, okay, I hack the watermark wherever I want. So you were saying yes. And they say, I build a tool for me that gives me the possibility of knowing 85% more or less with the more known AI generative AI companies such as GPT, 85% with DALL-E and so on. I put an image inside and it comes out immediately. One Italian is called Identify, if you go, is online, and you see, oh, this photo is 85% AI generated or 95% human generated, and you can see, and you just use for yourself to know more or less if it's true or not. And as journalists, we can do the same and use this tool that doesn't track. So this is a second possibility, or all together, and all together the systems with the law. So you like in cybersecurity, you make a higher wall, so you discourage people who want to commit some crimes.
Yeah, great. I think we are really tight on timing, so I'd like to thank the guests and open the discussion. Okay, you are really fast, so you deserve the first spot.
Do you need the micro?
So one of the things we see in emerging, right, is this risk-based approach to the regulation, like you highlighted with the EU AI Act. But the things with ethics is that, of course, it changes over time depending on like societal norms. So one of the big ethical risks we can foresee now is people simply having like a sense of a loss of purpose or a loss of meaning in life. For example, if you have AI that can automate lots of mundane work that makes up the majority of what a lot of people do, the question might not even be about job displacement. It might be about, you know, what are we supposed to be doing as human beings? So when it comes to this sort of thing, can we expect to have like documentation and policy and guidelines to actually help us answer these questions? Or is that just a perfect example of where regulation can only take us so far?
So I don't think that the why questions, the more meaningful question of life, can be answered by regulation, but by an environment you develop in a company. It's generally the first mission of ethicists is not just saying what is right or wrong. This is a daily fight for us, because they say, oh, what do you think? Is good or wrong? This one is what should I choose? And we say, no. It's not my role to do that. I'm far away from being a god who have the right answer. What I can do and what we generally do is create the environment where this ethical reasoning can flourish, and so everybody can contribute to the environment of the company. And just to answer your question, and this is an example I generally bring, I did ethical analysis on welding in the industry. So generally, welding is saldature in Italian. And somebody could think, well, welding, there is nothing ethical about it in a factory. Why are you working on that? And the point was that using AI system to recognize the quality of a welding process created a big problem in the environment of the company. And so people were starting to doing strikes, and they weren't happy because they felt like their job was just to be suppressed. So the point is, we are living a transformation. In any transformation we are doing, we have just to open our the light of our car, and try to drive carefully to help people to have a good transformation, and they will change the job. Maybe they will upgrade the quality of their job, and that's for sure. The point is just not saying we have a big step of technology and we accept it.
Brilliant answer, thank you.
Great. Another question?
Yeah, more than a question, is a comment, because you basically introduced the security or cybersecurity issue. I mean, I want just to underline that what is worse than being unsafe is thinking of being safe. So we should be very careful at this kind of protection mechanism, which sounds a bit also as a censorship thing. Yeah, I mean, it's not censor because it's just confirming the authenticity of a source. But technically, I feel there are a lot of ways to break into that system. And then the risk might be even bigger, because if we trust something coming from RAI or whatever, BBC, if somebody can hack or play with the system in a malicious way, then it means, I mean, if the CEO through Zoom can make a big of damage, imagine a fake certified by RAI being played on a national TV or broadcasted, how much bigger the impact can be. And we also have a lot of proofs that even, of course, using AI tools to verify the authenticity of sources, definitely not yet a solved problem. And even current AI tools, we have done some even recent research with some students which are here together with Oxford and Cambridge, that even big AI systems like Google ones can be faulty, can be broken, can be hacked with even extremely simple attacks. So we should be careful not to keep or put our trust on systems which we cannot be trusted 100% at least.
Thank you. I take the chance just to mention a new project we are working with DEXI. It's called Solaris, and it's really aimed at seeing the impact, the psychometric impact, and not only on deepfakes that are shared with the public. So I think the EU is moving fast, also in different directions. That's something good.
Yeah, and talking about you, since you mentioned before the approach after the September 11, the US approach for security reason, and then you do whatever you want, I would preserve the privacy that is possibly more European concept than in other places of the world. I think we have also to protect this one,
yeah,
instead of certifying and tracking everything.
Thank you, thanks a lot. Anyone else? Okay.
Hello.
Hi.
Please, concerning what Mr. was saying, for the future about the generative audio, video, we got a lot of deepfakes. Which major challenges do you see for democracy for tomorrow, and how could we affront these problems relative to generative deepfakes and everything?
Okay. Who wants to answer?
The ethicist.
Yeah, maybe someone from ethics. It's.
Who do you want to answer your question?
I think Mr. Enrico Panay.
Yes, me too.
Thank
We put you to the proof.
Can you repeat the question?
Yes, with a lot of deepfakes coming today, with a lot of these problems we need to affront with generative artificial intelligence.
So I'll answer with the project that we did in standardization. There are two ways of coping with deepfakes. The first one is working on the nature of the deepfakes. But working on the nature is very difficult because a joke can become a deep fake or a fake. And so somebody who is making just a joke or using deep fake can be transformed in deep fake that can have an impact on the internet. Another one is to reduce the distribution of the deep fake. And if you have seen lately the social network, they are trying to do that. You see a deep fake, you see a message behind saying, hey, be careful, they are not just saying the truth. So if you are sharing it, have that knowledge. So because I work on it, I think that even we have to work on both the nature of the deepfake, so all the process to determine the nature, and the distribution of the deepfake, so all the process that will reduce the distribution. Because if you create a deepfake and this is distributed to 4 people, that's not a big issue, ethically speaking, because the distribution is not very high. So I'm working more on all the strategies to mitigate this kind of risk. So working on the nature, I've seen a lot of technologies at the moment, and even when you are talking about an accuracy of 85%, you know that you have a big part where you are not sure. And the point is another one, this is semantical level of the approach. There are people that will not interpret what you are saying in the way you are saying it. So understanding how people and trying to figure out how people will understand the message you are using, it will transform the way you distribute this message. Just to give you an example, and it was during the pandemic, some journalists in Italy asked to some complotists to show where they took their news from the internet, and they show some WhatsApp channel, and in one WhatsApp channel there was written, this is a fake, there have been 2,000, I cannot remember, monkeys dead with a vaccine. And the journalist said, yeah, it's written that this is a fake news, and you are just quoting it as it's true. So just to understand that the people in this room is not all the people around the world. And a lot of people will take, even if you tell them that it's a deep fake, they will believe it. And this is a very big issue.
Also
yeah. So different way to treat it. Now to you.
Okay. The very last question, because we cannot hold you hostage anymore, because we've gone more than 15 minutes after the time.
Thank you. To start off, thank you, Barbara, for mentioning C2PA. I think it's a great reference and a standard for going forward. It will be one of many, but I think it's a good reference for many organizations working with both created and genuine original content. A question to you, Enrico. in terms of, we've been talking about, it's great with governance, and ethics sounds good. I think everyone nods their head that it's good. It's good to you have a good feeling about it. What is your take? What are like the main reasons why AI ethics makes good business? Why does it give more opportunity for better products, services, and why does it make a good business case to invest in ethics? We'll put all the hurdles and efforts into standards, regulation. We'll put a lot of time talking about it. What will give money out of it?
I really like the question, and I'm eager to hear the answer.
This is a wonderful question. So, as we said before, you have all the governance aspect of a company. And one of the approach of ethics is the sustainability of the company. The problem in the last year with ethics has been principalism. There was a very famous paper by Jobin and others that listed 100 of principles to be applied to AI ethics. Now, just making a list of principles is not a way to do something in an ethical way. Just to have some example, one of the worst dictatorship in the world, they have the word democratic in their name. Okay, it's not because you have the word democratic that you are doing something in an ethical way. And even when we are talking about ethics, we just generally use the term in a double sense. When you say, this is something doing in an ethical way, you already think that it's done in a good way. No, ethics is about alignment, and so alignment means that you have to align it to several things. Your market is asking to you, so a kind of preferability of your market and what your company want to do. Okay, and I already said it before, but in my personal life, anytime, so I have a double life. I studied philosophy, I worked a lot of in IT, and I came back on doing AI ethics. In my personal experience, when you talk about ethics, everybody is scared. No, why we should talk about it? But when you work with developers and you are just asking the right questions about ethics, you have a wonderful way to create innovation. And this is the point. The point about the environment you create in the company, I was talking just 2 days ago with some bigger telecommunication companies in Europe, and some of them are applying ethics in their company, and they realized that the attraction for talent is very high when you create an ethical environment. So if you want to do innovation, if you want to earn money, I would say do it in the right way. Then if you do it in the wrong way, it became a burden for a company. So my suggestion is you are doing ethics, do it with the right people and the well-trained people, because if you have the wrong people, they can be a burden for your company.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. It was a pleasure.